Hey folks, welcome to IT Rockstars. My name is Scott Miller. We help managed service providers generate more business by getting them qualified leads through the door through search engine optimization. On today's show, we have someone slightly different on the show. His name is Nigel Moore. He runs a business called the Tech Tribe. Now, I believe the Tech Tribe is all about helping you generate more profit from your existing clients. So where IT Rockstars can help you get that qualified lead that'll turn into a sale, Nigel's here to help you generate more profit on that sale. So Nigel, welcome to the show.
What makes me different? Is it the accent or the hair color?
Hey, it's got to be the accent. You know, this is the first down and under interview that we've had at 6:30 in the morning here. So if I'm looking a little bit blurry, that's probably why you're looking a bit different. It's because my eyes are half shut.
Very good. It's 3:30 in the afternoon here, so I am all good.
Excellent. So we're just going to jump straight into this. What is your background, Nigel?
Broad question. So I have been in the MSP or IT support space since 2003, 2002.
Okay.
Back then it wasn't MSP, it was just IT support ad hoc. And I worked for another MSP or IT support company for about 6 years.
So were you doing ad hoc support work for this IT company?
No, I started off as a technician in the company.
Okay.
So we were just doing ad hoc IT support for our clients. There was no managed services, no fixed fee agreements, no anything like that back then. It was just literally break fix ad hoc IT work. And I started as a technician, worked my way to becoming the general manager of the place. The place kind of fell over in a heap when the owner went a little bit AWOL and mad. And so through a strange turn of events, I inherited a whole pile of clients in my own MSP one Monday morning. And so I woke up and kind of had my own MSP, and that was in 2008. And went through a whole pile of different things during that time. So there's been ups and downs and roller coasters and all sorts of stuff. Eventually I sold the MSP. I had a business partner when we sold in 2016. And we had a pretty successful sale in terms of deal structure and the way it played out and whatnot. And now as you say, I run or curate the Tech Tribe, which is a group of other MSPs around the world where we help them in their MSP and help them go through all the lessons that I've been through in the past and all the places that I've failed and made mistakes and whatnot. I'm helping those guys kind of shortcut past some of them.
I see. Okay. So I'll try. You asked me not to ask you broad questions, Nigel, and I will attempt to stay.
Don't mind.
I'll attempt to stay away from that. Now, you mentioned that your old boss went slightly mad and I guess just lost it. Now, I know that you coach MSPs. Now, do you find that, you know, any of your clients have, you know, they're maybe on the verge of going mad themselves or just packing it all and giving it up? Do you help in the Tech Tribe with those type of matters?
Funny you should say that. One of my really loved clients in the Tech Tribe, who I had dinner with over recently while I was traveling around the world, he reached out only 2 weeks ago, struggling in that exact same kind of thing where he's kind of feeling like he's got to pack it in. He doesn't have much longer left in him. And so that's the area where I can chime in and I can coach and I can figure out maybe you do need to pack it in. Maybe you've been flogging the horse for a little bit too long and it's time for a change of scenery, or you may just be in a dip. You may just be in a dip, and the other side of the dip is not too far on the horizon. And my job then is just to give you a bit of encouragement just to get you out of that dip. And with him, I firmly believe it's just a little bit of a dip. He is a super smart guy in our industry, loves the industry. He's just been going through a rough patch. And I see it a lot in our industry.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I ask, because I was on an interview last week and the same thing came up. I don't really want to make this the thing of the show, but they mentioned that they had a breakdown, which made them pivot their business. So yeah, it seems to be.
I have been there. I think we have all been there. I think vast majority of us business owners have been through these breakdowns or these burnouts or these modes or whatever you want to call them, the bottom of the roller coaster. Every one of us has been there, and it's a natural part of doing business. And honestly, I am now, being behind many of them, a firm believer that it's a healthy part of doing business. And that's hard to say and hard to take when you might be in the bottom of one. When you get out the other side, what you realize is you've really been forged with fire. You've gone through whatever you call it, the gates of hell. You've gone through all this bad stuff. You come out the other side with some decisions made and some lessons learned and some stronger resilience for a reason. And it's because you've gone through that stuff. So nowadays, in hindsight, I see them as just natural parts of our business evolution. When I was back in them in the past, and even when I'm in them to this day, it's hard to kind of take that. But for me now, I'm very aware of those ebbs and flows in my business. And I know when I'm in one, and it still happens. I was in one 3 months ago in our business where I was going, we're just not getting the traction we want. Should we be doing this? but I can objectively look at it now from a higher level picture and go, that's just part of our flow, part of our natural flow and progression as we grow and move up in this business.
So it's about taking a step back. It's really, that's back to life, isn't it? It's like a learning process.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you is going to make you stronger, really.
100%. I am 100% believer in that.
Totally cliche, but yeah, learning process.
It is. And it's, as I say, it's so hard to kind of take that advice when you're in the thick of it as well. When you're right down in the doldrums and you're smacking your head against the wall and you're lying on the floor crying, trying to figure out what's going on. It's hard to take that as positive or as true. But 100% of the time, in my experience, in everybody I've coached experience, is there always is a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's never a freight train coming in the other direction. It's always something brighter, because those times in the doldrums is where you do make the hard decisions. And those hard decisions are things that you have to make to progress your business further.
Okay, so on to progressing your business further. I'm assuming that's the main goal of the Tech Tribe.
Yeah, our community is all about, so we love the small guys. I was a small guy. When I sold my business, we were only 10 staff. We'd built it to the point where it was running pretty well without my day-to-day involvement in it. I lived 3 hours away from the MSP, and I used to only come down to it 2 days a week, and or 2.5 days a week. And we had lots of SOPs and procedures and processes in place to get it to that point, and we had really good people. And so now a lot of what I do is teach and encourage and help other people try and get their MSPs to similar points or points in the journey where they want to get to, using some of the things that I've learned in the past, as well as a pile of the things that I've learned just coaching and teaching other guys over the past few years, not just necessarily all from my business as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. Sorry, that's what I was going to ask you. Is how did you learn all about all these procedures and SOPs? Was it trial and
error? epic failures. And so when you talk about those times down in the dumps and in the doldrums, my first foray into SOPs was forged out of one of those periods where we were about to have our first kid in the business. My wife and I were about to have our first kid. And she was working in the business 50 hours a week, and I was working in the business 70, sometimes 80, 90 hours a week. And we were earning okay money. It wasn't great. It was solid 6-figure income, but it wasn't great. And we're just like, crap, how can we start a family when we're in this kind of mode? We need to figure out what we can do to start getting some of this stuff out of our two heads and into SOPs, procedures, people, staff, management, and whatnot. So kind of that punched me in the face and kicked us into the realization that we've got to double down on that stuff and really learn how to do it. That didn't mean that I solved it straight away. Still took me a few years to figure out how to solve it in a good way. There was learnings on how to get SOPs working well, and that's what I teach our tribe as well. It's how to get them embedded into your culture, because I didn't get that right first time around, that's for sure. But it kind of that's where most of my stuff has come from, either failures, successes, or also from what I've learned from my guys and what they're doing and the guys that I work closely with. We've got hundreds of people in the tribe now that are all around the world, and I get a chance to speak to the vast majority of them. And I'd see, and I got this kind of overview and insight into what's working and what's not working, and what people are trying and what's failing, and where successes are and whatnot, which kind of gives me this really cool perspective on things, which I love, and it really helps our tribe out get their way past things that they might be struggling with too. So
the Tech Tribe, is it an online community? Is it just a forum, or what exactly is it when you go into it? I've never been in it before, so I don't.
Haven't you? There you go. So it's a couple of different things. So it is an online community. At its core, we're an online community of MSPs. Okay. What it essentially is there's a couple of different areas in there. We have what we call our tribal gatherings. They're a monthly gathering where I teach and coach on particular topics. That's like a Zoom call like this, but we have sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 of the tribe in on the call, and they're recorded and put in there. Then there's a tribal library that's full of training. So that's things like how to hire A players, how to do all sorts of different things in the business. Also, it's full of templates. So managed service agreement templates and IT partner agreement templates for non-solicitation and non-compete, and employment templates and template business continuity plan and template proposal and all those kinds of things. So just kind of tools that you can use in your MSP. And we're constantly growing and throwing stuff in there and building stuff in there. Then there is little tribal perks section, which is just vendors that we know, like, and trust in the industry. We get them to give discounts to our tech tribe. And then the big area, as you mentioned, is the forum, the community. Yeah. And in there is where we have lots of discussions around this topic or that topic or this pain point or whatever it is. And that's where I am in there very regularly, every day, pretty much in there, providing help, feedback. One of the other benefits tech tribers get is there is a little private coaching section in there where they can get direct access to me to ask me to brainstorm something with them or critique something, or just they throw a challenge at me and I can give them some perspective on how they might solve it. And that's a little private section where only that person and me can see it. And it's part of that
one-to-one session, yeah.
Correct, yeah. And that's text-based. In the tech tribe, it's a very low-priced community, so we can't do kind of one-on-one calls with me in that community. I've got higher-level programs for that. But in the tech tribe, you get that. It's not quick. I might take a day or two to reply to people in there, but you still get access to me to be able to just give you an external perspective on like whatever you're going through at the moment. So that's essentially the tribe in a nutshell, if that makes sense.
How did you come up with the idea?
Question. I came up with the idea I didn't come up with the idea. I R&D'd the idea, which stands for rip off and duplicate.
Okay, who did you rip off?
From one of my friends out here in Australia is a guy called, and my mentors is a guy called James Shremko, and he's heavy in the marketing scene. He's got nothing to do with IT or MSP space, but he was running a community of people that I joined to learn about marketing and online businesses and whatnot. I joined that maybe in about 2013 or somewhere thereabouts, quite a few years ago, maybe 2012. And I thought, God, I'd love to be able to do this for MSPs. Because on the side of running my own MSP, I was just ad hoc teaching and coaching a few other MSPs around the ways that we've done things in our business and helping them hire offshore team members and whatnot. And I realized that I absolutely loved in doing that. It's kind of lighting up my heart a whole lot more than it was running my own MSP. And I enjoyed running the MSP, but this was lighting me up 100 times more. And I was getting real impact with these guys. Okay. And so me and a business partner friend of mine, we went and started a little community. We called it, back then it was called, what do we call it? Cloud Business Community, I think we called it. Yeah. The Cloud Business Blueprint, we might have called it, something like that. And we got maybe 50 or 100 members in there, and we had a little go of it. But because we were both running our separate businesses, we kind of didn't give it a full crack. Yeah, and then I sold my business, and I just went all in on this one being my one for now. And went out and spent hundreds of $1,000s or more going and learning from the best people in the world about how they do things and how to best help people and how to structure training and these kinds of things. And just went out and pulled it all into what we now call the tribe.
So how did you get, this is probably not a question related at all to my audience. Hey folks, just a quick message from our sponsor of today's show. I'm going to leave you in with this with a problem that I used to have in the industry. I was doing business development and sales, and the biggest problem I had doing that, selling IT services and products, was finding qualified leads. I could quite easily go in, pick up the phone and speak to a potential client, a customer, about our services. It could quite easily go in and talk about the technology and how that technology was going to transform their business. And closing the sale was easy. That was the easy bit. The hardest part that I found, and you might be able to relate to this, was actually finding qualified and potential leads that were interested in taking on our services. This has now been solved. The new book is called Bear Attack SEO for Managed Service Providers. Now, why does it solve this problem partially? Well, you'll hear a lot about marketing on social media and LinkedIn. That's all good, but the problem with that is you're not in front of your customer at the right time in the buying cycle. You can only do that with search engine optimization. You can be in front of your potential client at the right time when they're looking for your services. So if you're interested to know how to do search engine optimization if you're a managed service provider, check out Bear Attack SEO. Just simply Google it and you'll find it on Amazon. Anyway, back to the show, guys. Thanks. So how did you get that first 50 clients or first 50 people participating in the community?
So from the previous, are you talking about in the tech tribe or in the first version of the community where we got our?
Well, did any of that first version of the community come across the tech tribe?
Yeah. So the way it worked was my business partner Robert, super cool guy and still a good friend of mine back then, was my business partner in the cloud business community. Okay. He had a group of people that followed him in his thing. He was teaching SharePoint and Office 365. He had a group of people. So we launched a kind of founding members rate to those guys, as well as we had a podcast together. And so we got people through the podcast as well. Okay. And that got us our first group of people. But after that, we never promoted that. So we never went pay-per-click ads or anything like that. In this tech tribe, we have got a vast majority of our members through paid advertising. And so it's probably 70% paid advertising, 25% referrals from people saying, hey, go and join Nigel's tribe. And that's where the current tribe has grown from. We got a few people from the old business that saw that I was doing something new and jumped and joined in, but the vast majority have been from pay-per-click advertising and referrals from other people in the industry.
Okay, cool. So that paid advertising, we do here at IT Rockstar search engine optimization. Part of that is Google AdWords. Do you do any form of optimization at all, or any AdWords, that type of advertising?
No.
None at all.
The answer is no. No, we did 100% on one Facebook ad campaign. Took us a long time to figure out what worked. So to get to that one Facebook campaign that was profitable was $6,000 to $10,000 worth of failed testing and trying to figure it out and not working. And then we got to one that was profitable for us, and we let that ride, and we put lots of money into it, and it kept going and getting us new clients and great clients and whatnot.
And that's still working today?
No, we actually turned it off 6 months ago. We've had a couple of personal issues in my family with the death of a close family member and whatnot. So I kind of slowed the business down for a little bit while I went through that.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. All good. That's not something that you end up asking about on a podcast. But anyway, I'm an open book.
Yeah. No.
And so right now we are in the process of about to relaunch our paid campaigns and grow the tribe up to the next level. We're kind of through that whole bad period which we had, and we're now about to relaunch again. And, and we have not done any Google ads and no SEO. And we just decided to focus on one funnel. And this is what I tell a lot of coaches. And so, a lot of MSPs, and it's probably a good takeaway for your people is when you are going down a marketing campaign route, when you're going to figure out one, don't try and go broad. Don't go and try and do a Google ads campaign and SEO and Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads all in one go and then wonder why none of them work 2 months later. The reason they didn't work is because you didn't go all in on one or two, and you didn't dedicate the right amount of time and the right amount of budget to one, because it actually in the MSP world can take a lot of budget to get a particular client. On the flip side, it's good because they'll spend money with you for a long time, but it can take a lot of budget. Lots of people go, I spent $500 on AdWords and I spent $500 on Facebook ads and I spent $500 on LinkedIn and I got nothing. Not realizing that if they spent that $1,500 on Facebook or that $1,500 on SEO or that $1,500 on AdWords, they would have got a client and it would have paid for itself. Yeah. So that's a big mistake I see a lot of people make. So hopefully there's a little takeaway there. If anybody of you listeners are doing that, stop, please. Focus on one. Definitely.
So yeah, that is definitely one to stay focused. Stop spinning too many plates at one time.
Correct.
Okay, so you mentioned on your monthly catch up. You mentioned there how to hire an A player. What is an A player?
Good question. I actually run through that in the training because some people, and it's like A player is just this term that's thrown around everywhere, and I used it because it's a term that people kind of know what it means, but I hate the term. And the reason I hate it is because when you go and hire an A player, people think, oh, I've got to go and hire these type A personalities that are really gung-ho and whatnot. The reality is that's not the case. What you need to find is an A player for your business. And those three words are very, very important. And it's an A player for you and your business, not an A player that might be an A player in someone else's business. That might be a class A person over here or whatever. And typically in our business, the people that we had that I would absolutely class as A+ players in my MSP, other businesses wouldn't class them as A players because they were not suited for their business. They were extremely well suited for ours. They worked great with our team. They were part of our culture. That was what we relied on. So A player to me is someone that fits in extremely well in your culture and works extremely well with you that gets great results. Doesn't necessarily have to be the definition of an A player where you see these people in suits and ties and type A personalities that go out and win at everything that they can possibly do. Yeah, that's not my definition of an A player. My definition is someone that works super well in you and your business, part of your culture. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it definitely does. So I guess that's the next question. How would I go around hiring one?
Run a hiring campaign. Simple.
Okay.
I'm trying
to get down into the detail here, Nigel. That's more than anything else. So there's a hiring process coming up in the next couple of weeks. So just trying to get some tips from you.
So my first recommendation is go and read the book Who by Jeff Smart.
Okay.
Don't ever run a hiring campaign again until you read the book Who by Jeff Smart. Okay. And it's got some absolutely amazing strategies and questions that you can ask in there to help you go through the funnel. Now, here's a couple of my tips. We all know the hiring process, right? You go out, you post ads or whatever, you funnel them down a funnel until the point where you get to hiring some people down the bottom. So my tips within that process are, number one, that starts at your job ad. And that job ad, 95% of people make job ads about themselves, not about the person they're hiring. And so my first point is when you are writing a job ad, make it 95% about the person that you're hiring, not about you. So are you looking for this? Are you got that? Do you want this challenge? Is this a pain point for you at the moment? Are you struggling with that? Do you really want to be held a part of this? Like talk all to them about things and talk to them about the benefits. right at the very end, you can talk a little bit about
So
you.
that's almost like a marketing strategy then, that
It
job
is
advert. It's thinking,
100%.
you're thinking about the benefits in that
Correct.
copyright. Okay.
100%. And the same thing goes, because what you're trying to do is you're either attracting clients or you're attracting staff, and you want to attract A players, or you want to attract really good candidates in your staff. When you look at those job ad agencies or the job boards out there that everybody uses, when you look at them, you look through and the vast majority of them say, we. And then every now and then one will pop up that's all about the end user. That's the one that stands out from the crowd. And that's the one that attracts really good people. And that worked very well for us. As soon as I started switching our ads to be more about the people and far less about us, we started attracting some really cool people. And so that was my first step. The other thing that we used to do in ads was I used to put a video in them. And not all job platforms allow you to do that. But I used to put a little video saying, hey, I'm Nigel. I own the business. Just wanted to give you a few little things about what we do and who we are, just so that you've got a feel for whether you might like to come and work with us. And I'd say things like the benefits that we gave. Like we gave everybody a Fitbit and a Kindle when they joined, and we had stand-up desks, and we allowed people to work from home with a work from home policy, and we allowed people to go and work for their favorite charity a couple of days each year paid. So I mentioned all those things on the video.
Yeah.
And that absolutely helped more people look at it and go, kind of feel the heart behind this company. And a case in point was our last operations person that we hired was an absolute A player for our business. And I'm still really good friends with her to this day, even though I sold the business nearly 2.5 years ago, or 2 years and 2 months ago. And she came to me after we'd hired her. We'd been through the whole process and hired her. And she goes, I would never have applied for working at an IT company in my life, except that I saw your video and saw that there was a little bit of heart behind your business. Like you guys, there was a personality behind it. So I thought I'd apply. And look, here I am. She turned out to be amazing. So they're two little tips just at the top of the funnel.
Yep.
There's a vast amount of tips all the way down the different steps in the funnel that I could go deep into, as you could probably tell, forever.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to dive into one or two if you want to go through a few more.
No, I think that's a really good start for 10 there, Nigel. And yeah, I guess if people want to find out more, then they can go to the Tech Tribe.
Yeah, come and join.
The next question I had, obviously at the start of this interview, I said, IT Rock says we can help generate qualified leads for your business. Nigel can help them turn into more profitable clients once you've closed the sale. Can you give me an example of how you can help generate more profit for a managed service provider?
Charge more. Sorry. But honestly, it's quite simple. Like a lot of clients I start working with are undercharging. 100%. They're undercharging. And it's endemic amongst us techies. And we're always out because our core value is typically not about money. It's about helping other people. And so we start this business and we're always wanting to try and help others at the detriment of ourselves. And so quite often the first thing I always look at in a business is, are you charging appropriately? Have you got a fair value exchange, or are you undervaluing yourself? 90% of the time, people are undervaluing themselves because they're techies. They're not sales-oriented people. We're not salesy kind of people that are really gung-ho and out there and ready to throw price down. We're kind of a little bit introverted a lot of the time, and we feel through these things a little bit harder. And so my first bit of encouragement to find more profits, honestly, look at your value and realize that in 99% of cases, you probably are undercharging and you need to charge more. And so a simple letter out to your clients, one of the strategies I always recommend MSPs do is that every 6 months, you send a letter to your client base saying, hey, Mr. Client, just letting you know, we've just reviewed our pricing as we do every 6 months. And good news, we're not making any changes. But what that does is it sets the expectation that you're continually reviewing your prices. Next 6 months, you might do a small increase, maybe a 1 or 2% increase, but continually send that letter every 6 months so that your clients know that you are reviewing your prices and keeping up to date with things. Okay. And the first step, if you're undercharging, at least go and please increase your prices. Go and fight your own fire. Go and believe in yourself and spend the time just going and setting up a fair value exchange. And honestly, I have only once in my life of coaching hundreds of MSPs and increasing my own prices many times, only once seen one person leave because of an increased price.
What type of percentage had you increased in the past? What sort of jumper price would you usually put in?
It depends on how long it's been since you've increased your price, and it depends on your market. It depends on where you are at the moment. So if you're
sending out a letter every 6 months and it's in the customer's mind, say like in an 18-month time frame, you're increasing the price.
Minimum 3%. Like most countries have 3% just as your inflation, right? So it should be minimum 3% every year. It's kind of your minimum. Not that inflation's sitting along in some markets at the moment, but that's a minimum. And if you can increase 1, 2, 3% every year, 18 months or so, you're going to at least keep up with the price of the dollar. The other areas is when you are another profit area that a lot of people don't charge enough in is reseller product. Reseller product, people go, margins are too skinny and I can't quote that because my clients aren't going to sign off on it because they can get it cheaper on Amazon or Best Buy or whatever it is. That's a fallacy. That is very rare that actually happens, that you get price shopped. And sure, it does happen. I'm not discounting that it does happen. Yeah. But if you've got a good base of clients that like, know, and trust you, they're not going to price shop you. And if they do, it's going to be very, very rare. So my encouragement there is realize that you're not a volume-based player. You can't compete at 5-10% markups on things. You need to compete at 20 to 30 to 40% markups on things to be able to provide a sustainable, scalable, and premium service to your clients. And the right clients will happily pay that day in, day out, knowing that they don't have to go and scour the cheap websites trying to find the perfect product for them. You guys are doing all that. Sure, it's going to cost them a little bit more in the percentage on that, but they're not going to know. They're wanting the outcome. They're not wanting the couple of percent difference. And I'm kind of painted that with a broad brush. Sure, there's people that will go out and price shop you and whatnot, and you have to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. But the vast majority in the MSP space don't. They won't do it. So go and increase your margins, 20, 25, 30 points on margins.
20% was my minimum. So that's really good advice there. Takeaway tip right away there. So, sorry.
I was just going to throw one little extra tip on that one is at one point we were 25% markup on all main product, apart from low end items, which we try to get a couple of 100% markup on. So 25 points is 20% margin, I think it is. And if you don't know the difference between markup and margin, make sure you go and understand it, because you can get in trouble if you don't. And there's some good sites on the internet that tell you the difference between markup and margin. But we were sitting at 25 points markup as our standard across all our products. And clients weren't using credit cards as much as I wanted them to get the cash flow coming in quickly for product sale. So we decided to just start quoting all of our product at 27 points and giving free credit card processing to everybody. And that meant that we only got 30% of people take up the credit card processing. That meant the other 70% of people got a 2% price increase on all of their product stuff, which they don't know because we quoted each time. We quote each time. We're still making sure it's a fair value exchange. We weren't gouging our clients. We were still a fair value exchange, but we got that extra margin out of there and gave the clients a service where they could then get frequent flyer miles on whatever without having this extra line on their invoice saying 2% markup or 2% credit card fees or whatever it was.
Okay, that's some really good advice. All right, this is probably going to be the next and last question for you, Nigel. What is one thing that's most valuable about the service that you offer at the Tech Tribe? So if someone who's coming to you, what do you think the one thing is? What would that one thing be?
The most valuable is obviously the private coaching that you get with me. And that's not me tooting my own horn. I'm far from someone that toots my own horn. It's knowing that you've got some support there available to you to be able to call on when and if you need it. And to me, in my MSP, if I had access to that, I know I could have grown my MSP much faster, just knowing that I had someone there available that had kind of been in my shoes, that wasn't too far ahead in my shoes. So I like to have mentors that are just a couple of steps ahead of me, not 1,000 steps ahead of me, because it's harder to learn from people 1,000 steps. So honestly, to me, the biggest benefit is just the getting around me. And there's a few others that are potentially a few steps ahead of you. Sure, the templates and training and all that stuff is cool. And we get guys saying, man, I learned so much from that, or your OneNote template has completely changed the way I manage my life or whatnot. But the real benefit is in that just being around people that are a couple of steps ahead of you, or just doing things differently to you and getting those different perspectives on things. Yeah, and I guess you're in a really good position there, because you can take the best bits that are working from everyone that you're speaking to. I mean, you mentioned there you had I think it was 20 odd Zoom calls, one-to-one coaching calls in the course of a week. So you're speaking you're doing a lot of coaching, so you can find out what's working, what's not working. I've done 230 different MSPs in the past 6 months in coaching calls, which is, I love it. It's crazy. It's not really scalable. So when you look at business models that are scalable, this one's not, but it's a business model that I love. So it's and cool. And I do get that perspective of different things. And that's awesome, because it's all about what you do in business, what you like doing. You know, that's right. You're enjoying what you're doing. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Correct. It's not a business then. Although in saying that, that's one of our struggles in our business, is I want to be able to grow and help more people and grow the business and obviously make more money out of the process, so we can go and fund our efforts and other things that we do in our private capital business and whatnot. But to do that, one of our struggles in our business is the capacity that I have in there. And so we've got to be very careful around that as well. And that's one of the things I'm learning in this business, is how to figure out how I can scale things that are kind of in here, which is not a very easy thing to scale. Same kind of thing that MSPs struggle with too.
Do you have a mentor?
I've got multiple mentors, yeah.
Do you? Okay. All right. So you're being coached as well as coaching.
Oh, I pay, some years I pay upwards of $100,000 a year in coaching.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You got to, it's all about here. And to me, I'm a big mindset kind of guy. And to be able to level yourself up and keep going up the ladders and keep growing, you just got to, like that, whoever said it, one of the smart business dudes said it, that you are the whatever the outcome of the top 5 people around you. It is so damn true. Every time I hang around people far better than me, I level up much, much, much faster. So I will happily pay $30,000 to a consulting or to a mastermind arrangement to go and join people that are next level up around me, just to pull me up. They kind of, like they say, the rising tide floats all boats. I'm the tiny little boat in the back end when I join some of these things, and I float up to the next level. And then below me is all my tribe, and I'm hopefully floating all them up to the next level as well.
Cool. Okay, Nigel. So, is there any questions that I might have missed that you want me to ask here?
No, I think you've asked some really good questions.
Okay. Cool.
Good. Hopefully, that's some value for your audience and whatnot.
Yeah. So, how can people get in touch with you, Nigel?
The Tech Tribe is at thetechtribe.com. We didn't talk about this before the call, but would you like me to put the thetechtribe.com/IT Rockstars page up or something and give the guys a discount? Give your listeners a discount?
That sounds like an excellent idea. How much are you going to give them a discount for?
40% off the first month.
Oh, awesome. I might even join.
There you go. It's a super low price tribe anyway. We, at the moment, our price is $50 per month, which is ridiculously cheap. Yeah. The whole reason is that pricing increases over time as we grow the tribe. We're at nearly 300 tribe members now. When we get to 500, we might double the price. I'm not sure yet, but our pricing in the tribe is grandfathered. So everybody that joined us way back in the beginning has kept their grandfathered price, and our price increases. Everybody keeps their grandfathered price. So for this, let's say we put up the thetechtribe.com/IT Rockstars. It's not, it'll be up by the time this podcast goes live. Lucky we're recording this, but we'll get a page up there by the time the podcast goes live. And if you join through that page, you will get 40% off. So instead of $50 for your first month, it'll be $30 thereabouts.
Oh, that's excellent, Nigel. Really appreciate your time today. We've got to go, folks. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe at itrockstars.co.uk. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.